Hi guys, Daniel from the Ultimate Guitar Academy here, and today I'm going to talk to you about interval training. Now, interval training is part of aural skills, which is part of Ultimate Guitar Method. In fact, it's one of our 5 fundamental skills. So interval training is simply hearing one note, then hearing another note, and figuring out the distance between them. I'm going to use a mathematical example of what I'm talking about. The interval between 10 and 13 is 3. The interval between 15 and 18 is also 3. The interval between 20 and 23 is also 3. The interval between 1,000,000 and 1,000,003 is also 3. Yes, these numbers are all scattered around, but the intervals between them are all the same. And that's exactly what it's like when we look at intervals in different keys. Today I'm just going to stick to C major. Now, here is my C major scale, notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Which hopefully we should know that by now. If you don't, that's what it is. I'm going to start with the first note, C. From there, I can play any note in the scale. I'm going to keep it within the first octave, which means I can play the first note, then the first note again. I can play the first note, then the second note. First note, then the third note. First note, then the fourth. First, then the fifth. Then the sixth, seventh, and the eighth. Now we have special fancy names for all of these. Before I talk about that, I just want to mention that interval training is a really overlooked, extremely important part for any serious musician. If you look at the top-notch guitarists, not even just guitarists, top-notch musicians, they have extremely skilled musical ears. Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, John Petrucci, Andy Timmons, I could go on. They all have extremely well-trained ears. Now, this may not necessarily have been completed by doing interval training and other listening exercises. However, I've found that these really accelerate your learning and accelerate your progress within all music areas. After all, music is listening, isn't it? So, let's get into what the intervals are. If I play the first note and then the first note again, in our example that's C and C again, we call that a unison. And it sounds the same. So we need to remember unison sounds the same. The next interval is the first note and the second note. We call that a major second. And that sounds like happy birthday. If you listen to that happy birthday, I can't sing, that part, that is the start of happy birthday. That's a major second. A major second also sounds like you're going to play the scale, major scale. If we play the first note and the third note, it becomes a major third. Now this sounds like a few different songs. My favourite one is The Simpsons. That sounds like the Simpsons theme song. It could also be When the Saints. I don't even know how that goes. I have to make it up every time. The next one is the first note and the fourth note. This is not a major fourth. We call this a perfect fourth. But that's a story for another day. So a perfect fourth sounds like... And if you live in Australia, then you might know our national anthem. That's the start of our national anthem. So, sounds like Advanced Australia Fair. I can't sing. The next one would be the first note and the fifth note. The fifth note will make it sound like The Last Post. The Last Post is that wartime song that you often hear on Anzac Day if you live in Australia or maybe New Zealand. You'll hear it on Remembrance Day, usually played not on guitar but by trumpet, though I have seen some awesome guitar versions of this song. If you don't know that song, The Last Post, then you might think of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Or even Star Wars. From this bit, that's the fifth. So that is a perfect fifth, not a major fifth. The next one is a sixth. Not many songs use a major sixth. The classic one that I was taught when I was young is My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. I'm going to guess that you don't know that song. Here's a better one for you. Jingle Bells. If you think of the verse of Jingle Bells, dashing through the snow, the dashing, that's a major sixth. So if you hear those two notes, and you can sing dashing, da-da-da, that's pretty good. Then that is a major sixth. The next one is a major seventh. Now this one is kind of easy and kind of difficult. The easy factor of it is that it just sounds yuck. It's quite disgusting. Have a listen. If that doesn't make you feel ill, I don't know what will. And the final one is an octave, which is where you play the first note and the eighth note. Notice we don't call it a major eighth or anything like that. We call it an octave, and that's because the distance of 8 notes in music is called an octave. That sounds like Somewhere Over the Rainbow from The Wizard of Oz. I've also seen some killer guitar versions of that, particularly Tommy Emmanuel's. Oh, so good. So, that is my octave. Let's go through all of these one more time very quickly. Unison. Sounds the same. Major second. Sounds like Happy Birthday. Major third. Sounds like The Simpsons. Perfect fourth. Sounds like Advanced Australia Fair. Perfect fifth sounds like The Last Post or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Major sixth sounds like Dashing Through the Snow from Jingle Bells. Major seventh just sounds yuck. Octave sounds like Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Okay, so now I'm going to play 10 different intervals, random orders, and I want you to figure out what they are. I'll play each interval 3 times before moving on to the next one. I'll also have the answers on the screen after the 3rd play of each interval. Interval 1. Interval 2. Interval 3. Interval 4. Interval 5. Interval 6. Interval 7. interval 8, nine, and interval 10. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you learned something. I hope you got at least half of those intervals correct. If you have any difficulties with these or you need to contact us, please feel free to go over to ultimateguitaracademy.com.au where you can reach us through the contact page. We'd absolutely love some feedback from you, things that you like, things that you dislike, things that you struggled with, and successes that you've had from these lessons. Please also feel free to share these videos on Facebook and amongst your guitar friends. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, keep shredding.